Good evening and welcome to 40 Days Recap of Documented Session number 152. That was Seven Bowls of Wrath, the sixth bowl, part A. Yes, there are three parts, three sessions it took to get through the sixth bowl of wrath. And this was done on July 5th, 2024. The sixth bowl requires us to read verses 12 to 16. It covers a river drying, spirits like frogs, deception of kings, mention of the great day of the Lord, and assembly of the armies against Israel. So let's take a look at verses 12 to 16. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up to prepare the way for the kings from the east. And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, three unclean spirits like frogs. For they are demonic spirits performing signs, who go abroad to the kings of the whole world to assemble them for battle on the great day of God the Almighty. Behold, I am coming like a thief. Blessed is the one who stays awake, keeping his garments on, that he may not go about naked and be seen exposed. And they assembled them at the place that in Hebrew is called Armageddon. Obviously, I'm very popular at this moment. Praise and thanks to the Lord for his word. Amen. Now, we are going to do this in parts, as I said. I'll try to bring it together at the end. This bowl of wrath has been the subject of many videos and conversations. I keep mentioning that in a way. A lot of people like talking about the topic of the drying of the Euphrates and how it's the end of the world. Slow down, though. We are not in the period of the drying of the Euphrates, and the sixth bowl of wrath has not happened as yet. Because as you see it here, the sixth angel pours out his bowl and the river Euphrates dries up. Many videos talking about end times now, many videos trying to get viewers will say, oh, the Euphrates is drying up. That is not the sixth bowl of wrath. A gentle, gradual drying up is not. So if I were to ask you to give me proofs, that's one thing you'd say. Now, the Euphrates River today may not be the same Euphrates as identified in the Bible. There are many places in the Bible that we call by different names, and there are many places that were built or discovered after that which carry historical names. So we must be careful with this. Everyone seems to be willing to grab onto the prophecy as a literal one, though, and if you notice that, that'll be great. They like to say all the others are symbolic or figurative. You know, the sun is not going to get extra hot. That's going to be the government coming after people. You know, no, but suddenly this one is literal. Not the literal sun heating up, which is already hot, but a literal river is going to dry up, which is less likely when you consider the size of the Euphrates. Everybody's trying to grab onto this as a real river drying up, while they use all the other bowls of wrath as, oh, it's figurative, everything in the sea is not going to die. That's phony stuff. This river was first mentioned in Genesis 2:14 as one of the four rivers that the river from Eden divided into. The Euphrates, from that time, would not be here still. If you remember something called the flood. The great flood would have covered the ground with tons of water and reshaped much of the topography of the world. Mind you, this prophecy here that we have on screen, this was written about 3,000 years after the flood. So if this is a literal river, it is likely to be here today I can't specify exactly where it is, but we have some evidence to help us. The river allows kings of the east to go to Israel. So this river must lie east of Israel, blocking the way. To allow the king's passage for their armies, it must be a river that's too big, too wide for military bridges to be built over quickly, because military bridges are basically unfolding pieces of equipment. Bam, it's a bridge drive. It must be too deep for military vehicles to cross over. If we look at the geography of the land that is close enough to the east of Israel that could possibly prevent quick military access, we'd be able to identify it. I'll provide you with a map just now, and looking at that map, we can see that there is a river Euphrates that starts in Turkey and runs through Syria and Iraq. Let me see if I can bring that up for us. I have like a link to it. Britannica. The Britannica what's these things called? Encyclopedia. That. This is the picture. Check this out. If you look at this map shows the river. Israel is here. East is on this side. This river is east of Israel. If you look at it, its length really does block out the east of Israel. If anybody wants to invade, they have to cross this tiny piece of it and the bulk of the river here. To go north and then come here, come down, it would be an unnecessary addition of a journey. This is a big blockade. When you think about it, this river could theoretically prevent massive amounts of men and machines from quickly crossing it from one side to the other. But if you observe how far it is from Israel, if anything crossed that in large masses, Israel would see them coming literally for miles because it's that far off. Now, it's possible for the great river Euphrates to be an allegorical river in all of this, right? As we go along, we'll continue, we'll study, we'll determine stuff. But for now, as we're reading through and we're going through this, let's keep in mind that we have to prove whatever we're trying to say. In this map, we see Israel and its dimensions are 290 miles north to south and 85 miles east to west at its widest point. Israel itself, 290 north to south and 85 miles at its widest point east to west. Okay, that's not me working it out, by the way. I didn't take the scale thing and work it out. That's according to the encyclopedia itself. The Euphrates is approximately 984 kilometers by road away from Israel. Given like modern technology, modern social media technology, modern radar, modern satellite technology, human desire to gossip and boast, and modern communication technology, I'm pretty sure that if 100 tanks, thousands of men and planes and helicopters were crossing that river to go to Israel, we'd all know. It's time to interject with our take on the bowls of wrath, where the pouring is figurative and the effects are literal. I'm still standing on this. And it's especially supported by what we read in this verse. All right, verse 16. In this reading, 3 unclean spirits like frogs were mentioned. So do you expect to see 3 literal frog spirits? No. It's possible that if the frogs are allegorical, This river might be allegorical. As we have those questions in our minds, let's check out what the commentators say. Matthew Henry suggests that the river is symbolically either Turkish power or Rome. And when their power breaks down, other nations will have access to Israel. It seems like he's seeing this as a great revival will make the devil desperate, and the desperation will lead the devil to gather nations in a last-ditch effort to take out God's people. This may be so because the times will be tough for us as the devil turns his attention to the scattered ones he has access to when Israel goes into wilderness to be nourished. Maybe. Albert Barnes said it's Turkish power that prevented the conversion of the Eastern kings to true religion. Now, I don't understand how he read true religion and they're assembling after this because the assembled kings in our reading will be hostile to Israel. They'll be hostile to the church and definitely hostile to God. Jameson Fawcett Brown suggested that it's a spiritual Babylon, and the drying is the weakening of the empire. And we know that in Revelation 17, Babylon the prostitute will be made desolate by the Antichrist and his king supporters. Ellicott identified that this river has been used metaphorically before in Revelation 9:14. I have that one up. Saying to the sixth angel who had the trumpet, release the four angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. In that, Ellicott believed that river is allegorical and it separates Jesus' kingdom from the world, like the physical river that separated Israel from the hostile north and eastern kingdoms. Ellicott suggested that the great river is public opinion, which is often against war. So at that time, the public will not be against war, and the world leaders will be able to unite against Israel without restraint. These allegories that they're seeing, they could make sense. Benson says that the beast's throne was supposed to be the papacy, Rome, Roman Catholic Church, and this river is the Antichrist of the Muslims. Because of the mention of the Muslims, I want us to discuss some Islamic eschatology, just so we'll have an idea of what is out there. Islam is expecting Jesus himself to come back and sit on a temple. In reading what they think will happen, I saw some amazing differences in their view and our view. They believe Jesus didn't die. I didn't know that up at this point. His image was transferred to a young volunteer who was crucified in his place because Jesus ascended the very night, and that young volunteer was arrested. So they believe somebody else died. They believe Jesus will return and symbolically break the cross, kill pigs, and establish or not establish a jizya. I'm going to explain that. Their version, called Isa, will tell the world, they call Jesus Isa, that Isa will tell the world that the cross, Jesus' sacrifice, and his divinity are false. So the world will turn to Islam and they'll turn away from what they call people of the book. Isa will kill pigs to symbolically remove impurities from society. The jizya is what he's going to establish / not establish. The jizya is a tax on non-Muslims in Islamic countries. Some say he will impose it. Others say he will abolish it. Their versions vary on it, but they point us to one thing. There's going to be trouble for non-Muslims. Some of them say he will remove the tax because there'll be no need for the tax because everybody's going to become Muslim. Some say he's going to impose the tax so the non-Muslims will have to choose to be taxed or convert and not be taxed. And what does that sound like? Sounds like false conversion. This information about the Islamic view I took from a website called islamqa.org, and I had a conversation with the AI ChatGPT. Islam's version of Jesus in this narrative sounds a lot like the Antichrist. which means that the Muslims might see the Antichrist and think he's Jesus. Or some parts of what I read make it seem like they will think the false prophet is Jesus. Cooper's Corner, number 130 for this is put down your earthly natures and habits, for they are in opposition to the truth that the one who made the earth is source of true happiness and fulfillment. This brings us to the end of part A of the sixth bowl study, number 152 in our documented session series. This was the 18th in the Bowls of Wrath series that we covered on July 5th, 2024. I'm going to stop it here because we will continue next day with number 153 in our documented sessions. It's kind of abrupt, I know, but the next one is going to be longer. I'd like to thank everybody who's here live and thank all of you who are watching on Instagram and Facebook. I'd say God bless you. Thank you very much for joining us. And may God's grace and peace be with you.